This is the Steve Gruber Show.
It sure is, and welcome to it as we kick off another brand new day here on the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you here as we're fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, which always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole when it's time? And there will be a time. We're burning daylight. Let's get to it. Three big things this hour. Number one, getting up early could soon look a little bit different. That is, if you like coffee like me, you love it like I do. Well, that's because the cost of Joe is on a dramatic rise. How much can you tolerate? Number two, we're a nation that is sick with wicked people. How else can you explain another church shooting, this time at a Mormon temple in Michigan? Evil is real. And the place was burned to the ground. Make no mistake, evil is real. Number three, we're going to start here today. Might not sit well with a few of you, but that's okay. There are thousands of conspiracy theories making the rounds about Charlie Kirk. Should we believe any of them? None of them. Maybe look into some of them. The most popular one, especially on the right, thanks to people like Candace Owens, is that Israel orchestrated a hit against Charlie because he wasn't willing to be bribed to secure college-age kids' unwavering support for Israel. That's one of the theories. I just want to let you know I'm not buying that one at all, and frankly, I'm tired of it. I find it just as out there as those on the left theorizing that Charlie's death was orchestrated by the Trump team to distract from the Epstein files. Yeah, that's what they say. Or the idea that Charlie faked his death and is still alive, or that the Illuminati killed him because of his rare genetics. I mean, good God. How many rabbit holes does it take to fill a vacuum? How many? You know me, I'm all about asking questions. But there's a difference between asking questions and refusing to accept evidence while you sell conspiracy theories behind a subscription paywall at the expense of everyone who's still trying to grieve the loss of Charlie Kirk and move on with his mission to save America. I don't want to see the death of my friend and colleague turn into a circus act of conjecture, sold as entertainment for those who can't accept that sometimes life is just cruel and terrible and unfair, and sometimes good people die at the hands of bad people. Happens every day. Just not to famous people every day. Many of these theories drag Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, into it, claiming that her way of grief is faked, that she somehow was behind Charlie's death. I mean, they say this, that she orchestrated her own takeover of Turning Point USA, and I find that one downright despicable. Despicable. Grief is not a formula. It's a human experience that differs from person to person. I think some of these snake oil peddlers should consider the fact that there's a good chance that Erica and Charlie could very well have had this conversation beforehand several times. Charlie knew there was a chance that he could be taken out. He knew there were death threats against him. It would be completely logical for him to have a plan of succession. We know he had TPUSA designed all the way out to 2030, maybe beyond. I want to honor Charlie's legacy by focusing on what was important to him, not focus on a mountain of conjecture that fractures the very base he spent his entire life focused on trying to unite. Like I said, Candace Owens has been one of the most vocal to push her belief that Israel had something to do with Charlie's death. That's her story. Listen to it.
To me right now, it feels, and I'm using a corporate term here, a bit like a hostile takeover. And Charlie's honest ideas are starting to change or maybe add more color. And now he's getting financial threats. He's being called names. He increasingly, he's being told who and what he's allowed to speak to. And he's taking a stance. He's taking a stand privately up to these people. And then it doesn't matter anymore because Charlie's dead. And those very same people who were pressing him are now doing, like, very quickly, trying to set in stone that, Charlie, essentially the energy is Charlie died for Israel. He's just one of us. Nobody ask any more questions. That is literally untrue, and we're not going to allow it, okay?
Her claims rely on a lot of trust me. Because this is what people close to Charlie are telling her, she says in private. She thinks TPUSA has been taken over by Israel, but there's a big problem with that for me. It's been taken over by Charlie's wife, the person who would know most about what Charlie wants and would want to honor his wishes most, and she's surrounded by his inner circle, but also on board with the entire TPUSA mission. So I'm supposed to trust Candace, someone who split from Charlie years ago, someone who didn't even attend the memorial service because of security concerns, she claimed. Despite the fact that it was considered safe enough for the President of the United States and his cabinet, but no, not for Candace. I'm supposed to trust that more than Erica. Eric Bowling, another friend and colleague of mine who's on the board of Turning Point, doesn't appreciate the slander. He sheds some light on the reality of Charlie's and Candace's relationship. Here, listen.
Early on, 2011, 2012, 2013, they were tight. They grew TPUSA like crazy. I was shocked to see her leave until being part of TPUSA, her theories got just a little bit too down the rabbit holes. It was too extreme for their taste. And Charlie, to his credit, kept a cordial friendship with her for years, but it hasn't been a communication pipeline back and forth between the two for many years. That's why I don't know why we give Candace Owens' assessment any weight at all. I don't see them together. I think Candace has created a lane for herself. Yeah. It's her own lane. She wants to go after Macron's husband or wife or whatever you want to call him. She wants. I agree that I think it's cheap that she is sparking this up like she knows something between something happened between Ackman and Charlie. For what reason?
Here's what I would say. To me,
money. Yeah, money. For what reason? Now is as good a time, by the way, as any to update you on the massive civil lawsuit. He mentioned it there, filed against Candace by the French, and let you know that Brigitte Macron's legal team has submitted photographic evidence that she is a woman, which is an upsetting thought, to say the least, and plans to put out more evidence to prove the same. Which, of course, just means that the biggest scandal is still the fact that a 40-year-old woman groomed a 15-year-old boy, Emmanuel, who later became the French president. So, Candace's biggest moneymaker so far seems dead in the water, but I digress. We're supposed to trust Candace more than Erica, but not just Erica, everyone else who was closer to Charlie than she was for years. Those closest to Charlie have denied the claims coming from the anti-Israel crowd. Here's Andrew Colvett, the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, a very close friend of Charlie's, as you can imagine, and you've seen him sitting in there doing the show since Charlie was killed. Listen to this.
Was Charlie offered $150 million from Israel?
As far as I know, no.
I had never heard anything like that. Everyone I've asked has said the same thing.
And by the way, just for what it's worth, it doesn't matter the amount that would have been coming down. We would have said no.
And there's evidence that is true.
Turning Point does not, Charlie would not accept foreign money.
Exactly.
We only took American money.
Yep.
There was money sent to us, like practically in multiple instances where they're trying to cram it down our bank account. And we said no. We canceled like money wires and things.
No foreign money, and also no handouts from the government.
It's interesting because there's been a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about, saying a lot of things about this issue. And, on the one hand, I love it because you've got the pro-Israel side claiming him, and you've got the anti-Israel side claiming him now, which is a posture.
Yeah. All right, we'll get more into it after this. All right, Charlie was a friend to Israel, but he asked questions just as well as anyone. Hated war just as much as anyone, but he was in no one's pocket and never had been. That's what bothered him. Charlie's pastor, Rob McCoy, has also begged his conspiracy theorists to give it a break, calling out Candace by name specifically. Give it a break, he said. He shared this statement, and I quote, Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace, never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace. I only wish at this tragic time of mourning, she would be the friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way had, God forbid, this tragedy been hers. It's worth noting that another of Candace's claims has been that Charlie was about to convert to Catholicism from evangelical, something that everyone close to Charlie, including his wife, has denied vehemently as another flat-out lie. Surprised nobody when Candace blamed Israel because she's made a habit out of that over the last few years. And if you want to know what Charlie himself thought about that, he actually answered a question on this exact topic less than 2 weeks before he was murdered. Listen to this.
That there is a corner of the internet of people that want to point and blame the Jews for all their problems. Everybody, this is demonic and it's from the pit of hell, and it should not be tolerated. Period. When it goes to a structural problem, of an entire generation that has economic resentment. They don't own anything. They're not getting married. They're not having children. They're depressed. They're anxious. They're staring at their screens all day long. And all of a sudden, your extrapolation of all that is, well, it's the Jews' fault. That is sloppy and shallow thinking.
Yeah. Sloppy, shallow. If we follow Candace's logic, by the way, then she's just as likely to have orchestrated his murder as Israel, since he seemed to critique something she did too, right? But that's not the logic I follow. I follow the evidence, the actual evidence, which is what the FBI and local authorities are in possession of. Candace has called on the FBI and Turning Point USA to divulge all the information they have, all of it. I got to say, just because you have a podcast doesn't mean you get the right to demand information from the government that's vital for an active investigation. And more importantly, to make sure it is a successful prosecution of the killer and anyone else that could be involved. Because yes, that is still part of the active investigation too. Could there be other people that knew about it in advance or helped coordinate or did anything to assist? And when we talk about evidence, I don't think we should discount the fact that Tyler Robinson has confessed to the crime, to his father, to the pastor. We have someone actually taking credit for the kill, and it's believable, to his mother. Not everything has to be so convoluted. One of the biggest takeaways from Charlie's murder is just how far the left's pendulum has swung towards violence against anyone they disagree. We spent a lot of time on this. A lot of Americans, moderates, Democrats, nonpartisans, non-politicals, are waking up to this. I don't want to lose that underneath a cloud of conspiracy theories about foreign governments or cabals who could be responsible when we have someone taking responsibility, a left-wing radical who believed the pundits when they called Charlie Kirk a fascist, a Nazi, a white supremacist. So don't let the left get off so easily by pinning this on someone else. If I'm inclined to think one theory is believable, it's that the text message between Tyler and his roommate/lover are staged to absolve the roommate of any responsibility. But guess what? That's also conjecture. Seems plausible, but I don't know. I'm going to wait on proof before I start running my mouth as if it's a cold, hard fact. And I want to take a moment to say something here, and if I'm wrong on all of this, if I'm wrong on all of it, if there comes indisputable proof that someone other than Tyler Robinson orchestrated this attack, I'll do something you never hear any of these other pundits do. I'll stand here and say I was wrong. I will look you in the eye and say I was wrong. But I'm waiting on the FBI. I'm waiting on people I trust. I mean, we're talking about Kash Patel here, right? He's been in front of many of these conspiracy theorists, and now we're supposed to believe that he's in on it too? Come on, man. It feels a little like we're having a Lord of the Flies moment here. We've gotten so used to not being able to trust anybody or anything that we just don't know who to trust. But J.D. Vance himself commented on the fact that Charlie was instrumental in staffing the White House with people he trusted. I plan on retaining a little bit of that trust in the people that I wanted in here. Aren't you? Because if we get our way, if conservatives are able to gain control of the institutions that matter, and we tear the whole thing apart anyway, with no evidence to do so, what are we doing? We'll crumble. That's not what I want for the future of this country. Jillian Michaels, who's a conservative, who's tired of the distracting theories too, she really put her foot down on this the other day. Listen to this.
Who used to work for the Iran-backed newspaper Al Akbar in Beirut and contributed to Al Jazeera.
Yeah. I mean,
why is it every time we track down a lie, we end up finding people connected to Qatar or Iran?
There's no
behind
proof this
it?
ever happened.
So,
none.
Wait, how does that debunk the fact that...
he just read it. Where's your proof that $150 million was offered from Bibi Netanyahu?
No, I'm referring...
Where is the proof?
Please do not get...
No, because I didn't want to cover this, and you guys insisted. And I told you, you cover this rip you apart. There was
a lot of
every
pressure
show
towards
ends up being
Netanyahu.
about how do we bash Israel. This is not for me. I am not interested in this.
Okay,
I love
I
you
know.
guys.
I'm
sorry.
Let's be good.
I
Let's
have
be good about
zero
precious
interest
Israel. Let the
in
country
fucking
committing a
every show
genocide.
doing
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
Zero. I think you guys are great. I fundamentally disagree with you about.
Good for her. Sometimes that's just what you have to do. When the conversation just goes in circles, but not one person producing a shred of evidence, I'm done with this. A lot of questions about the lack of an exit wound from the shot that took Charlie's life, and the doctor has answered that. The bullet was found underneath Charlie's skin after getting obliterated and wedged in the vertebrae, which happens to be exactly what I told you when We first saw videos when it first happened. Andrew Colvett, Charlie's producer, called it a miracle that no one else was killed by the bullet going through. And instead of acknowledging that, we're being told to believe that somehow everyone from Erica Kirk to Kash Patel to the doctor in the ER to those closest to Charlie are all somehow in on covering up the truth behind Charlie's death. Stop it. That's my stance. You're more than welcome to share yours with me, social media. Send me an email to stevegruber.com. Feel free. But I'd encourage you to question these podcasters with just as much discernment as you do everyone else. And I'd encourage you to retain a little faith in the people who knew Charlie best and who want to honor his legacy best. Put a little faith there, would you please? A little faith. Don't let this fracture us, my friends. Don't let this undermine us, all right? I'll take a break and be right back.